What is up, YouTube, and welcome to this Matrix Resurrections ending explained. I have to wonder why this movie was made and why there was hype for it, as to be honest, to me, and here to just confess, the sequels to me always seem like as a bit of a cash grab after I saw them. They came out in the same year, in the year of the Matrix, and were just middling existential ponderings that barely reached the level of thought that of a stoned 16-year-old would have looking up at the stars. To me, The Matrix 1 was the perfect movie. It looked stunning. It was the first movie I saw on DVD, which was very apt because it was all about, technology going crazy and, this internet thing. It was pretty big at the time there. And we had two sequels, which admittedly I was very excited for. I was all in on the year of the Matrix, having Enter the Matrix on the games and having all of the Animatrix and all that kind of thing going on, but, well, they just absolutely floundered. And after all these years later, I'm wondering, why are we making these? It seems very much like the whole thing with the Harry Potter prequel with Fantastic Beasts. Why does it exist outside of making money? The movie, ironically, is like something Algae Rhythm from Warner's other shameless cash grab Space Jam 2 would create, and they even name-check Daddy Warner in this movie, saying that they're the ones who want to make a sequel to Thomas Anderson's magnum opus. The opening 40 minutes were an onslaught of them going, reboots, they're bad, aren't they? Wink. And they're almost insulting the audience at actually coming to see this movie. And we even have a silly, goofy Morpheus clones who exist to just exist. It follows the Force Awakens reboot template, but badly. Hey, I'm sure there's a lot of you who don't like The Force Awakens. But the movie opens essentially with a carbon copy of the OG opening scene, and we literally see Trinity face off against agents and police, but this time gets caught, and we see the Matrix's Morpheus be freed by Bugs, played by Jessica Henwick. While this isn't exactly Fishburne's Morpheus, it's an AI made by Neo and left in this modal. As we finally catch up with Neo, we see what he's finally been up to. Well, kind of. It turns out that he now works at a game company, and the original trilogy games are things that he made, and it's time to work on a new game. Binary. Do you get it? Binary. Red pill, blue pill. God, what is going on? But we have him working at Deus Ex Machina Games, which... Christ. I will admit that Neo's actual personal hell of him working at a tech company again and unsure if the game he made was real life or not is pretty good. Wait, we've already seen that in the first movie. Now we descend into one of the most meta pieces of film I have seen in a very, very long time that starts to absolutely eat itself. It turns out that Neo being there... He is Thomas Anderson. He's a famous game maker and is infatuated with Trinity, who has a family and kids in this new Matrix, and the machines made him look like that old guy in Ready Player One. You know what? This is a bit Ready Player One. His overlord is Jonathan Groff, who is essentially Agent Smith. And the references become far too much. I did expect at one point Jonathan Groff to start singing "You'll Be Back Again" when Thomas Anderson escapes. While Smith is perceived to be the big bad, the real big bad is Neil Patrick Harris's The Analyst. The Analyst is the therapist of Neo who helps him cope. It would turn out later that The Analyst is essentially The Architect Part 2, but updated for 2021 and sick fun. Yeah. He was present when he and Trinity went to the machines and the Matrix is rebooted and Neo dies. He convinces the suits, yes, a clever little stand-in for the WB decision makers, to make a new Matrix against better judgment. And here he did convince the machines to regenerate Trinity and Neo, as he saw something key. He saw the anomaly, and the pair, when they're close but not too close, their yearning sets something off, and he refers to the anomaly. The Analyst has been taunting them and has kept them in their own prison, using this new matrix to manipulate them and create more power. Because unlike the architect, he has been creating a darker, more tortured existence in the matrix, while his predecessor dealt with facts. The analyst deals with emotions and feelings, and having the matrix set up this way means that Neo and Trinity create even more power, because power output is important, because there is a lot of kind of power vacuum and not enough power going around. Real life, eh? Part of this torment is being asked to work on the Matrix 4, which in the real world has been discussed for a long time. Neo begins to break down, being asked to return to the world, which I think is somewhat of the Wachowski self-insert here, as back in the day, Lily did call it a repelling idea to return to in 2015, and we have a focus group discussing what is the Matrix and what should the sequel be, with bro guys wanting bullet time and guns and others wanting philosophy porn. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's a lot. Neo is manipulated and the analyst pulls him back each time he's close to escaping when speaking to Smith. Neo closes his mouth just like the original interrogation scene, and yes, they just have to keep flashing up the scene that they are referencing each time, because I don't know. But the analyst uses psychology and gaslighting to convince him that he's making this all up in his head. He almost self-substantiated by jumping off a building, just like the kid as we saw in the Animatrix, and not even Morpheus revealing himself, offering the red pill, and even saving him in the sprinkler-ravaged office like Neo did to him didn't work. And he's pulled back by deja vu, where it is a cat, just like in The Matrix 1. But Bugs reaches out to him, and interestingly, instead of landlines being used to escape, we have doors and mirrors. Smart movers even has a landline these days. The meta is just far too much. But it's explained that they need the familiar to lead and make Neo remember what happened, as Morpheus is essentially in that same iconic room because we can't think of anything new. It's been 60 years since Neo died and his Matrix avatar is shown differently, so people don't recognize him, and it's long before they are attacked by the Swarm, a replacement for Agent, sort of where the analyst can take over anyone there. But anyway, it's a bit whack. But his pod is found and he's extracted and is made to believe the Matrix again, as Trinity is taken away from him in the real world. I felt like the real tread was just a lot and just generally unneeded as he goes through the Kung Fu program, the White Room, blah, blah, blah. But he wakes up, and this is the story that is far more interesting than anything, as Bug explains what happened in the intervening years. Now, after the events of what happened in the third movie, it turns out that some of the generators went down for the machines, leading to a machine civil war. And, well, Niobe led and made a new society after Morpheus' society collapsed. More on that in a bit. While the Matrix didn't end and the war didn't end, the sides were blurred, with humans having some machines swap sides to help them, which is what we see with the AIs and the machines that help them get out of the pods. Now, humans moved from Zion to make a hybrid city with machines, and as we heard from Niobe, Morpheus became the council leader, but his religious belief in the One, he was convinced that this was it, humans were safe, and he ignored a growing threat, leading humans to leave and create the city they have now. Now, Morpheus didn't believe in working with the machines, but here Niobe does, and they have a better life, but locks up Neo, not allowing the risk of religious fervour to start up once more. But of course this fails and he's let out. You know, choice and all that. Saving Trinity is risky, and luckily the idea that it will strike a blow to the evil machine, so it kind of makes sense for the plot. Yeah. Anyway, however, she needs to leave of her own accord. Her free will is her choice and the focus of the story, but they come across Smith and the Merovingian and his outcast because, you know, he had like werewolf people or something from... what was that all about? And they fight these outcasts but barely survive, but he risks it all to see Trinity. It's here that the analyst explains himself, and boy, villains cannot stop monologuing, can they? Now, it turns out that, everything I've said so far. He created this Matrix, and it's a new, more really horrible Matrix here. And the rest of the crew are in deep doo-doo with Niobe as they break out. However, on the return to the human city, we learn the level of interrogation with the machines as we see Satine. That was the girl from the third movie at the train station whose parents struck up a deal with a Merovingian to get her out. Her father would design the pods to resurrect the pair, but when he realized what the anomaly was being used for, he rebelled and was killed by the Analyst. His talk about love in the third movie proved to be true, as Trinity and Neo's love is key to the end of this movie. They plan to get her out, and we essentially get a retread of the third movie, with Neo having to go and face an evil program, which he does and offers a deal just like he did in that movie to the machines. He wants to leave with Trinity if she leaves of her free will, but she was manipulated but eventually relents, and it turns out she has the powers of the One as well, because their connection means they have One powers. Hey, crazy, huh? But, well, Agent Smith comes out of nowhere and defeats the Analyst, and the machines start to pull the plug. I'd imagine that Agent Smith wasn't too happy with being manipulated as well. But we have Trinity unlock her powers in an admittedly pretty cheesy scene, and she is released from her pod and they confront the Analyst. He didn't pull the reset, it was the machines, he knew it wouldn't work, but they now control the Matrix and plan to free everyone. Some could argue that this was an allegory for how the internet went in the time between the Matrix movies, with social media algorithms absolutely ruining the mental health of everyone in the world. The story was over, and well, it did not seem like this was something which is even interesting. I think that the questions about what happened after in the real world was far more interesting, because the real world stuff was a lot more interesting than the Matrix stuff itself. This just feel like a bit of a soulless cash grab, and well, yeah, that was really it. I wonder if they'll make another one. I'm not sure how this will do at the cinemas, because it comes out, like a week or two after No Way Home. So, and it has a hybrid release on HBO Max. But that is it for this video. Please drop a like down below. Do subscribe with notifications on if you want more from us. And I will see you after Christmas for a Cobra Kai Season 4 breakdown. And goodbye.